ceased. The National Guard has that under control. It is just if you can just imagine, if you will, a lot of people listening to me waited in gasoline lines back in the 70s. You didn't like it. But probably you had a Coke to drink or some water or something to eat, but you were in line for a couple of hours, and you didn't like that, and you still remember those times. Imagine, if you will, standing in the hot sun of South Florida, where it's about 90 to 95 degrees every day, no shade, you're exhausted, you have no place to live, you've lost everything, and you've got to stand in a stinking line with a lot of smelly people, including yourself, with the sun beating down on your head for 5 hours to get 1 gallon of drinking water. Just think about that for a second. That's what those people are going through. And yes, the federal government has not helped. Yes, the American Red Cross sure got their ads in the newspapers real quick and is using this Hurricane Andrew disaster to raise funds. And yes, there are problems. But on the other hand, there are individuals who are coming through. There are truckers, God love them, who are coming through. And let me say this to any trucker who's listening to me. If you've got any space in your truck and you're heading anywhere within the South Florida area, load up with some ice if you've got refrigeration. Load up with some water. Get some baby food, some formula. Take it down to the people who desperately need it. Get on your CB. Find out what the other truckers are doing. I would imagine that CBs in the southeast portion of the United States are just chock full of information. Any trucker who's been in South Florida can pass along the information as to where to go if you got a load of something that can help people out. The Stan Major program is well underway in Detroit, the Motor City, in Dallas-Fort Worth, the Metroplex, in Kansas City, St. Louis, Seattle, and all those wonderful points in between.
228-5400.
You're listening to AM 760 WEND, Brandon, Tampa Bay.
Maybe I'll try to call somebody down in Miami. What line can I use to call out on, Troy? Can I use the hotline? That'll work. All right, let's just be patient. Let me... it's a long reach from my microphone to the telephone here, okay? All right. You can go ahead and put this on the air because I'm calling a radio station down there. And they'll hear something and the alarms won't go off all across the country and all the affiliates if you can put this on the air.
Oh, yeah, the wonderful code, the magic, whatever. They changed the number.
Busy now.
No.
Will you please try your call again later?
Now, what does that tell you, ladies and gentlemen?
We're in the 813 area code, and we're trying to call 305, and we can't even get through, and it's coming up on 2:30 in the morning. Can you believe that? So, yeah, right. Nothing's going on down there, right, Bill Clinton? Just stick with your politicking over there, Governor Clinton, and don't be concerned about the people in South Florida. And, boy, I'll tell you, it just bugs me. Let's go to Shirley in Jacksonville, North Carolina. How you doing, Shirley?
Good morning, Stan. I am furious.
Yeah?
Talk about being a day late, a dollar short. Bush should have been on a stick the day he landed out down there. They flew him from Opelika out there, and you can't tell me that flying over there he couldn't see how much trouble they were in down there. I sit here in my living room and saw films and knew.
Yeah, but in all fairness, if Governor Childs, in fact, did not specifically ask him for the help that he should have asked him for, then Bush is off the hook.
Yeah, but does he need his permission?
Well, certainly as some initiative can be used by the White House to call up and say, what do you need? You know?
Well, he probably didn't even do that. Telling you. You should have mentioned diapers.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Did I not mention diapers?
Oh, you did.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay.
I can't understand why they didn't get down there to Homestead Air Force Base and clear that field and send in the troops into there. It's closer.
I don't believe that they're able to do that. Homestead basically is gone.
Yeah, but they could have cleared the runway.
Well, I don't know why the military is doing what it's doing. I'll have any explanation for that, okay?
Okay, now, I have a Red Cross story for you. My neighbor was telling me that during World War II, you had to ship all your packages overseas to the Red Cross. And this mother knitted her son a sweater and sent it to him. And he never got it. And he went to a Red Cross place and he bought a sweater. And he went to put it on. And you know how the sweater will roll up?
Mm-hmm.
And he looked down and there she had written his name.
Okay, thank you very much, Shirley. The Stan Major program is on the air everywhere.
I cried a tear.
We talk Tampa Bay.
Okay, on the hotline is Ken from Dallas. Ken, what's up?
Yes, sir. First-time caller.
Good. Good to hear from you.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous. Not as smooth as Jewel. Is that her name that calls in from Florida?
Jade.
Jade, yeah.
Jade, the late lamented Jade.
Really.
Jade has disappeared again, friends. Every once in a while she takes a little hiatus, and I guess she's gone bye-bye. Of course, Jade disappeared at about the time Andrew came through, so we don't know.
Yeah, she's real smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought I'd call in and kind of...
You think Jade ran off with Andrew?
Could be. I thought I'd call in and defend Mr. Clinton from your comments about him not getting with the Florida people. But, you know, with the Florida situation, to me, in my opinion, it proves that the Republicans basically, especially George Bush, just don't know how to help the American people when in times of need, you know?
Well, of course, it's a domestic issue.
But usually, if you look at the Democratic record, every time we have a storm like this, they fall in there and do the job right. You know, everything from our space program to these storms, you know, and look like the Republicans, they kill our space program. And that kind of moved, in my opinion, back into the dark ages, as far as progress, technical advantage, and everything.
Well, I don't know. I may have paid enough to make some corporations really rich by finding out what can be done and what can't be done through NASA.
Yeah, well, to me, that's one of my pet things.
I mean, I saw that dirt at the Air and Space Museum, that dirt and that rock from the moon that cost me I don't know how many millions of dollars and billions of dollars in tax money to bring back. And I shook my head and said, where's the beef? You know, I mean, what the hell's going on here?
Well, you look at all the advantages that this program, the program we had, it helped our society as far as a lot of high-tech things. Right now, we should at least have a base on the moon and a space station full-time.
The thing that I don't understand is that how the federal government can be so in debt if corporations have benefited from what we've done in you would care to write to me, let me give you the address. It's Stan Major, the Sun Radio Network, 2857 Executive Drive, and the city is Clearwater, Florida. That's one word, Clearwater, Florida. It's in the Tampa Bay area. And the zip is, what? I forgot it. Hey, I do that occasionally in the middle of the night. 34622. Right. Very good. Okay? And our telephone, toll-free, is 1-800-878-8255 or 1-800-878-TALK, T-A-L-K. Or as one fellow out in this great state of Washington said one night, 1-800-TRUE-TALK, T-R-U-T-A-L-K. The hotline, when it becomes available, that's the one you pay for, and we try to get you up in front. We'll do our best. That is 813-572-7043. We'll be back with Chuck in Tampa, Rosa in Graham, Washington, and maybe you.
And save COD charges by calling toll-free now.
You're listening to AM 760 WEND, Brandon, Tampa Bay.
Okay, coming up on 16 minutes for the hour, Chuck is in Tampa. Chuck, how you doing?
Good morning, Stan.
How are you?
Fine. I'm a trucker. We're taking a load of about 20 pallets of water down there in the morning.
Good.
And
Good
we have
for
a
you.
refrigerated truck, and we're going to throw as much ice as we can in the front. What I want to tell you was on Nightline this evening, he had on the Secretary of Transportation, and he said that there was 5,000 troops heading down there. But he also said that Governor Childs was in daily contact with Bush, and, you know, Bush told him the ball was in his court. And he said that today was the first day that Childs had actually asked for military troops to come down there. They were waiting for him to say that.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't say that till this morning. The Secretary of Transportation met with Childs this morning, and he didn't ask for it till this morning, so.
Well, maybe he hasn't been lucid enough to figure out what's going on until today.
I don't know. It's sad, though. It really is.
Yeah, it is, because, you know, it's a little like watching your government disintegrate before your eyes and waiting for a date on the calendar to have a new president, you know?
Yes, sir. Well,
listen, congratulations to you guys, Chuck. You, anybody who's doing what you're doing deserves all the kudos in the world.
yeah, well, I'm not the only one. There's a lot of truckers getting in on this. You know?
Well, that's fantastic.
Okay, have a good night, Stan.
Thank you, Chuck. Another example of the way people can respond in a situation like this, and another example of how politicians and bureaucrats don't. I'm sorry, let's take Rick up in Kansas City on the hotline. Rick, how you doing?
Hey, all right. How are you, Stan?
Good.
Good. It's funny that guy mentioned that thing about the governor there. I was going to talk about, I saw on TV last night, they were showing clips off of a broadcast that happened on Channel 10 down there.
Yeah.
Some blonde-headed gal and this other guy that are anchors on there had the governor on there, and they were showing him a clip of this guy that with some organization with the military that says they have everything that they need for down there for everybody in Florida, but that he had not asked for anything.
Uh-huh.
And all he said he had asked for was plywood and building materials and things of that nature, but he pretty much admitted he hadn't specifically asked for water and things of that nature. Is that guy up for re-election down there this year?
No, he's not, thank goodness.
No.
This is the same guy that got in a year ago on the basis that he was, now picture this, here's a big spending senator in Washington that comes down here, he drops out because he doesn't like politics anymore up in D.C., he doesn't like to play the game. So I guess he smelled the fact that he wasn't going to be able to, spend any more big money like he had. He was a big spender when he was the Senate up there because he was a Democrat and a big spender. He comes down here, I hate to say, when I don't have confirmation on it, I hate to mention it from coast to coast, but I believe that is true. And these people are, and my friend Neil Rogers has basically turned his show into doing, from the lighter thing that he normally does. He's been doing hurricane stuff ever since the day after Andrew hit down there, and I'm going to try to contact that particular station and see whether or not we can find out how you can more directly contribute right into the kitty, something that will go right directly to the people and not go through the hands of the American Red Cross and Elizabeth Dole and or God only knows who else. 10 minutes before the hour on the major program, I would like very much for you to get some information on how you can... I'm going to attempt during the upcoming break at the top of the hour to try to call somebody down at WIOD in Miami in the news department there and see what I can find out. And we'll see whether or not we can channel any any help that you want to give financially directly to a source rather than to go through one of the national organizations. And, you know, ever since the United Way scandal broke, you probably are as nervous as I am about writing out a check to a national so-called charitable organization, huh? I mean, how much money does Elizabeth Dole pull out of the American Red Cross, for instance? Let's go to Rosa in Graham, Washington. How you doing, Rosa?
Hello, Stan. I want your listeners, the American people, to know what is going on in Idaho.
Okay.
With the Randy Weaver situation.
In the next 2 hours or the next 2 days down in South Florida and over in Louisiana than I am about Mr. Weaver or anybody else up there in Idaho, okay? The Stan Major program is on the air from coast to coast.
5,000 U.S. military personnel have arrived here in Miami. By dawn Friday, the Pentagon has promised all the troops will be in place. On its way are medical, engineering, and communication teams, helicopters, bulldozers, portable toilets, as well as typical relief supplies like pillows and blankets. The most anticipated units will be 20 mobile food kitchens that can feed up to 6,000 people every 2 hours. Many of the 250,000 homeless in South Dade County have eaten little, if anything, since Andrew hit on Monday. Scott Hatch, USA Radio News, Miami.
Live throughout the night, America talks. Stan Major listens. Call Stan at 1-800-878-8255. That's 1-800-878-TALK. Now, across the nation, the man who has America talking, Stan Major.
Alrighty. Still trying to call Miami and can't get through. As incredible as that may seem after all this time. But if I can't get the information tonight, I'll have the information for you tomorrow. We'll see what we can work on here. Let's go to Ann in Punta Gorda, Florida. Hi, Ann.
Hi, Stan.
How you doing?
Well, I'm doing fine. First, you might be interested in knowing that on the newscast just prior to your returning to the air, they claimed that 2,000 troops are already in place in Miami and will be in place in the morning with mobile kitchens, etc. But getting back to the situation when it originally occurred, I chastised Governor Childs for not appointing someone like the head of the National Guard to be totally responsible. The National Guard has mobile kitchens. They don't go out on bivouac without tents and blankets and other things of that nature. There's a National Guard in Georgia that I'm sure would probably have willingly loaned tents or given them the utilization of equipment of that sort. And my concern now is with everybody running around in opposite directions, nobody's going to know what to do with whatever comes in. There should be a person put in charge, whether it's the head of the National Guard or someone who has their wits about them and knows the physical structure of the city of Miami so that they can set up grids and direct people to various areas to get the things that are needed. But all this mishmash of one coming in here, another coming in here, will not evenly and equitably distribute the necessities of life.
I agree.
And then the other thing that I think is important also is that, again, Governor Childs should appoint someone to coordinate the media. I know that our local radio station here is trying to stir up some interest in people contributing things, but that person has to communicate with all of the media and coordinate all the media efforts. Because, again, you may have 50,000 sheets and not a single package of diapers if they don't coordinate and know exactly what they're doing.
That's true. But obviously you can make the diapers out of the sheets.
Well, they're a little difficult to clean. And I don't think they'd be quite as comfortable. Furthermore, you need safety pins then. Then that's another thing you have to collect.
There you go. And you know safety pins aren't safe.
That's correct.
Very good point, Sam. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. All right, let's go to Julie in Dallas.
Yes.
Hi.
I Stan.
Mm-hmm.
I understand how cynical you are, but I wanted to tell you that that the state of Texas does care, and I don't know whether you've heard this or not, but the Kmart stores in the state are asking people to bring things, the things that you have mentioned, to, their stores. They are trying to help.
Good. I know that's being done in several states.
And I wanted to also say that when we tried to help the state of California, and when in one of their disasters, I don't know which one, they asked the trucks to be turned around. They didn't want our help.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, so much for California.
Yeah, right.
Don't take an IOU from Pete Wilson either.
Really?
Okay.
This one, I didn't know whether you had heard that or not.
No, I haven't. I appreciate that.
But I wanted to let you know that Kmart stores here is trying to help.
Very good.
And they will be on their way soon.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Julie.
Okay.
Okay, 12 minutes after the hour, 1-800-878-8255. The phones are hot on the Cynical Stan Major program tonight. I just, I can't understand. I can't understand. The lady who called from Punta Gorda and is absolutely right. There's nobody in charge down there. This is not a job for the governor of the state of Florida to stay down there and be in charge. Doesn't the man know how to, name somebody, like Schwarzkopf? I'm sure that General Schwarzkopf would be willing to go down to Miami tomorrow morning and take charge and get things organized and be the kind of person that would be able to exude the authority that's needed in a situation like this to get things under control. What's he doing? He's not doing anything. Going around making speeches. So let him go down and do the thing, I mean, it's a shame when we have somebody like Schwarzkopf who we could call upon, who's in the area and probably available, and nobody even thinks of it except a talk show host on a network radio program. Well, I'm a genius. What do you expect, folks? That's what it's all about. We are talking about anything under the sun. If you would care to put in your 2 cents worth, give us a call. The lines are hot. The Major Show is hot. Glad to be with you. Quarter after the hour, and Bill is on the hotline from beautiful Naples, Florida. Hi, Bill.
Hi. Well, I don't believe it. I'm through?
Yeah, you're through. No, you're just beginning. You're not through.
Oh. All I want to say is I don't think people realize, the media and everybody has made such a big deal of how it hit Louisiana. And it came south of us 70 miles.
Mm-hmm.
If it had been 70 miles north, it would have been total destruction of an area that is like Miami. And I've already talked to, I'm unemployed, and I talked to the Red Cross earlier, and I'm going to go over today and help however I can.
That's great of you, Bill. They could use your help.
Well, they need it.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as the state government goes, I'm sorry, but it's pitiful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the governor has to ask, right?
Yep.
And
we're not sure he did.
I don't think he did.
Well, I'm
not up on politics, and I don't get into that, but
well, this is another.
I haven't liked him since he got in there.
As I'm trying to say, Bill, this is another example of the media not doing their job, and if Lawton Childs is the one who is culpable in this, the damn media ought to be finding out. We've got a lot of newspapers in this state that pride themselves on trying to dig out the truth. Let's find out from the Tampa Tribune, from the Miami Herald, from the Orlando paper, whether or not Childs is screwed up. Okay? It's that simple. Thank you very much for your call. Let's go to Tom in Arlington, Texas. How you doing, Tom?
Hi, Stan. One thing that I have noticed about the entire disaster that hit both Louisiana and Florida is the dichotomy of it almost. Louisiana has been pretty much, they just knew that it was going to happen, and the people in the community got together, and they are just going ahead and taking care of the business and working on it. I mean, it didn't hit it. It hit some major areas because the Lafayette area is over 70,000 people. And I'm listening to what's happening in Miami, like you hear this bit with looting and everything else, and you don't hear anything like that in Louisiana.
Well, let me just explain something to you, my friend. There's a hell of a lot less people in Louisiana than there is affected in Miami.
Well, I
All
agree
right,
with that.
and there's a large mix of ethnic population in the area that was devastated. And let me also explain to you that Lafayette, Louisiana, was not leveled. All right.
It was damaged.
It was damaged. So big deal. Big damn deal. It's been damaged before, and it'll probably be damaged again. All right. This particular area of South Florida has not been hit by a major hurricane for 30 years. Okay.
Right. Well, because I'm remembering about a similar situation about around 20 years ago when Camille hit in Louisiana and the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and.
Did it hit New Orleans? Did it kill people and devastate a portion of New Orleans, or did it hit the boonies? Okay.
Actually, it did.
I don't think so, because I was. You're talking about 20 years ago. That would have been. This is 92.
1969.
Yeah, that. From my memory, I don't know what point you're trying to make. Are you ticked off that there are black faces and Hispanic faces in line for water and ice to survive in South Florida? What the hell is your problem with that?
Well, the only point that I'm trying to make is just the fact that...
You're not making any point. You are not making any point, okay?
Well...
You cannot compare apples to oranges. All right? Now, if this hurricane had devastated part of New Orleans, you could even compare that to the population in Miami. New Orleans doesn't compare to Miami, okay?
Yes.
All right?
Yes, I can understand that.
You're talking about millions of people affected. Millions of people affected in the Miami area, at the very minimal. All right? I can't get through on the phone line to WIOD in Miami tonight. Okay?
I can understand that.
So you take your theories and stuff them, Tom, okay?
All right.
All right? Don't bother me with your concerns. Whatever they may be, and whatever the motivation, I have no idea. And I'm not interested. 20 minutes after the hour, the major program is on the air from coast to coast.
Do you really...
I hope those of you out there who heard the last conversation will realize that this old body was sitting through the hurricane down there in Fort Lauderdale in my house with my family. And I don't particularly care about theories like that, all right? Don't call me with that kind of crap, because I'm not in the mood to listen to that, all right? Hey, let's go to Gypsy up in Wasilla, Alaska. How you doing, Gypsy?
Hi, Stan. Well, I could be doing better. I don't like to hear what's going on down there. I'm glad that you're okay, and that you're on the air and helping. We need a little bit of help, too, and it's as soon as you get a direct person for us to send things to, we have a group here called the Alaska Fire Bells. And in time of disasters, it's volunteer Alaskans who get together, and we're looking for tents, dried fruit, dried meat, dried milk, canned eggs, clothes, baby items, anything, especially the tents and the dried things, because they won't spoil in the heat down there, and that could possibly keep people out of the sun. We need a place to send them to you. We're also looking for fuel and for trucks that can load up furniture and everything that's needed, every single thing, and we've got people that'll make the runs as long as we can get the fuel and the trucks to haul it in, and we'll get it down there as fast as we can, Stan.
Boy, that's something. See, now, isn't that amazing that you would make that offer from Alaska? And I haven't heard anything like that from any of the surrounding states here.
Well, we don't.
I get a guy from Texas to call up and bitch about the lazy bums down there who can't do for themselves, you know.
Well, Well, we'd have it on the way if we had it, away right now. And all we can do, we know that right now it's important for people to stay out of the heat and to have at least one little space. Their homes may be wrecked, but they can put a tent in their yard. There could be awnings or wall tents or canvas tents, anything that would give shelter. The dried fruit and the meat and the eggs and things that aren't going to spoil can keep people's strength up. And a lot of liquids. We need as many fruit, juices, and anything. There's a lot of stores out there. There's also sporting goods stores that could be getting things on the way. They can just jump up and do it, because if you take it to Salvation Army or the Red Cross, they're going to dole it out or sell it, and we want it directly to the people that need it.
Okay, Gypsy, I'll try to have the information for you tomorrow.
Okay, and in the meantime, our prayers are with you.
Thank you very much. Let's go to Ross over in Hearst, Texas. How you doing, Ross?
Oh, pretty good, Stan. I've been listening to this, and I sympathize with you wholeheartedly that they need someone with authority to designate where this stuff is going to go. Why don't we? I've heard you talk about Clinton and Bush. Nobody mentioned Perot. What happened to him? He could take over that.
He's too busy promoting his new book.
No, he's selling books.
Yeah, he's selling books now.
He's back making money. You don't worry about what.
Who knows what Ross Perot is up to?
Well, I'll tell you, I didn't realize till I looked at the news this afternoon, and it is terrible down there. Y'all got hit a lot harder down there than they did.
Well, Ross could get on his private plane and fly over there and do a little help himself,
Yeah, he ain't heard anything about him being...
Not word one.
Not word one.
Nope.
Did he go underground with that guy that's out in California?
No, I don't think so. I think that, and he hasn't gone up to Boise like Bo Greitz and tried to solve that solution either.
As far as I'm concerned, that's minor, and just a drop in the bucket according to what's going on in the other place. What gets me is these people ripping off, like I saw tonight, where the guy went out, he got a truckload of gasoline and went out and raised his price on the gasoline.
Well, I'll tell you, he's going to get nailed by the Attorney General who set up an office right down there, and if that Attorney General gets one complaint, boy, he's going after him. So nobody better go down. All these people with their con job ideas better stay the hell out of South Florida, because they're not going to put up with that stuff.
Right.
I'll tell you another thing Ross Perot could do. He could hire a couple of jet planes, load them up with water and ice and baby food and formula and diapers over there in Dallas. I'm sure he could call a few of his buddies over there in business. A few of the oil folks would probably chip in and load those planes up and fly them right into Opelika Airport and have the stuff offloaded and put it on trucks and take it right down and hand it out before the ice melts.
That's the way I see it. I mean,
if Ross Perot was really any kind of a humanitarian, that's exactly what he'd be doing today. And I'll tell you another guy who could be doing the same thing, and that's the Gates with Microsoft and the guy who runs Boeing up in Seattle. Don't you imagine Boeing has a plane that they could send down there with a load of water and ice and everything?
Yeah.
I mean, why do I have to sit here in this talk host chair and think of these things? Why in the hell can't these big people who make so damn much money, a guy who's got billions of dollars, why can't he think of something like this,
Yeah. And for them to be selling ice down there for $10 a bag, that's dollar. You're talking about a dollar item going.
Well, you're also hearing the very negative minor part of what's going on. Okay, the price gouging and the rioting are not the key stories in this ongoing melodrama. All right, it's the people. Like the trucker who called me from Fort Walton Beach, like the guy from Bradenton who's getting a truck on his own, loading it up with ice and taking it down. He doesn't own Microsoft. He doesn't have $1 billion. He doesn't own Boeing, okay? But what he did out of the goodness of his heart is he did something good for fellow human beings. And it's a shame that more corporations aren't chipping in, jumping in, and doing the kind of thing that I'm talking about. Thank you very much, Ross. We'll be back on the major program from coast to coast. Not at all.
Okay. Father God, I ask that your comfort might be with those who are suffering because of Hurricane Andrew, those in southern Florida and those around the country. Lord, I ask that you might give a spirit of peace to those who don't know where tomorrow is going to take them because of this tragedy. And even though we don't know the reason, Lord, we know that your grace is sufficient in all times of need. I ask now that you bless each and every person whose life has been turned upside down by this. In Jesus' name, amen. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, James. I appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Okay. We'll accept any help, right? Let's go to Howard up in Detroit, Michigan. How you doing, Howard?
Hi, not bad, Stan. How about yourself?
Fantastic. I'm cynical tonight, Howard.
Well, I would add a hearty amen to that last call for all the cynics out there in the audience, Stan.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I wrote a poem once called For Those Who Still Remain.
Mm-hmm.
Mother Nature's awesome power all around this earth oftentimes reminds us that this planet of our birth is as fragile as the lives we lead. The very ground we trod begs our souls to be prepared at any time for God. All of us should pray for those involved in any tragedy. We know, but for the grace of God, we could be living what we see. And when we wish to help in times of disarray and human need, the best help we can quickly give is ask our God to intercede. The souls of those departed are beyond our mortal reach. For those recovering from strife, God's mercy we beseech. The power of our answered prayers will help relieve the pain that cash alone can never soothe for those who still remain. And I'd like to say that tonight on the Nightline show, last night I should say, I think that America was treated by Cokie Roberts and the Nightline crew to one of the most shameless exhibitions of yellow journalism, in that they pandered to and took advantage of human suffering to promote their political ends. I don't think ABC News could have dug any further down the ladder of government emergency response mechanisms to have a county-level disaster coordinator on there to get an official state response to the Nightline charge that the national administration was somehow slow in responding to this crisis. And I believe that what they're doing is rapidly turning Nightline into another Sally, Geraldo, or Phil. But the saddest part is that there's people in this country who really believe, by virtue of the same television, that everything can be done in an hour, and that government's some kind of starship enterprise to instantly assess the extent of the damage, and a willing Scotty eagerly awaiting the order to beam down the troops and supplies. And unfortunately, in the real world, all good things take time.
But not this long. FEMA just is opening up a couple of offices tomorrow, okay?
Well, that's in terms of the financial reason.
Hey, listen, no, wait a minute. They could have called the Resolution Trust folks. They got a lot of office space available in the area.
It even took them 6 months to set up, and let's talk real world here. I think that given that the federal government just got the request this morning, which by law, by Constitution, they're required to wait for, I think they're moving pretty rapidly at the federal level. I agree with you 100% that there was a lot to be desired at the state level.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, maybe our governor was back on Prozac again. Who knows?
Yeah, we've got a new definition for hurricane here, Stan.
What's that?
That's a large overbearing volume of hot air blowing in circles to the left at speeds from 90 to 150 miles per hour, and always given proper names such as Bill or Hillary.
I like it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, God. You still couldn't get through on that number? That's incredible. It just like rings busy or something. Yeah, all circuits are busy. See, that's amazing to me. I don't know. I guess it happens to be that particular area. I don't have a problem calling in Broward County. It's the same area code, near Fort Lauderdale. To my home down there, but we're calling into the city of Miami when we're trying to call WIOD down there, and that's when we start getting the phone problem. Let's go to Milton, Washington, and Laura.
Dan, I'm really glad you were spared from this hurricane, and I've got immediate family in New Orleans as well as Florida, so the pictures I've been seeing out of Florida have really moved me because it could have very well been my family. And Como News 4 up here, they're going to be collecting food and water and clothing, whatever anybody has, along with the Salvation Army, starting tomorrow. And, you know, I agree with what you said about Bill Gates. You know, I'm going to drive to Seattle tomorrow to take what little stuff I have. And, you know, Bill Gates got millions of dollars. He's donating to colleges, and that's great. But, you know, it wouldn't take a whole lot for him to get a plane down there loaded with food. And
well, he could call up the guy who owns Boeing, and he say, you got a plane, let's load it up and ship it down there. They could do that, and the plane could be on its way tomorrow afternoon.
Oh, absolutely, because there are a lot of people like me that we want to help, but we just don't know how to do it. And if we could have a spot where we could take stuff, we would have it down there.
Well, I think Mike Siegel ought to be in charge of all that myself.
Yeah.
Okay?
All right.
Thanks
a lot, Stan.
All right. I don't think she's a Mike Siegel fan. 1-800-878-8255. We can't get through to Miami. We're trying desperately. And I'll tell you, I know how we can get through, Terry. Okay? Troy, I'm sorry. I'm sleepy. I know how we can get through. Why didn't I think of this before? I will not say it on the air, but I'll tell you during the next break. It'll be very simple, okay? We don't direct dial, if that gives you a hint. The Stan Major program is on the air from coast to coast at 1-800-878-8255 or 1-800-878-TALK. Terry is next up in Anchorage, Alaska. Don't go away.
760 WEND, Brandon, Tampa Bay.
Okay. Despite what the gentleman said before about letting George Bush off the hook and blaming it all on the state of Florida authorities, there's enough culpability to go around. The Baker-Bush foray into and having George Bush come down to Miami so quickly after the storm passed was an error. Because he was in there so quick and out of there so quick, especially leaving at night, he had no idea the scope of the whole thing. Yeah, go ahead. Put him on. You can't put him on? We finally got through to IOD in Miami. We can't put him on the air. How come you can't put him on the air? Aren't you on the hotline? Tell them to call us. They can dial out easier. Yeah. They can dial us easier than we can dial them. There's no doubt about that. I was dialing the Sun Network headquarters from Miami on Monday, from Fort Lauderdale on Monday. And I had no problem getting out, dialing into from the 305 area code into another area code. I had no problem at all. And so on Tuesday afternoon, when I arrived back here, I wanted to call my wife back in the Fort Lauderdale area and tell her that I arrived safely. And that's when I suddenly realized she ain't going to hear from me until the phone situation gets straightened out, because everybody's trying to call Miami. So I was not able to get through to her until much, much later at night. And you can see that we still had a problem here. We had to go through the operator to get connected with WIOD in Miami. So there is still a problem as far as telephone communication into South Florida is concerned. Let me take a moment out here and mention that everybody is in business to make some money. You are and I am. 813-572-9209. We'll talk about doing some advertising on the show. We have the lowest spot rate in network radio. We'll be able to really make you a... let's go to Laura in Milton, Washington. Laura, how are you? Or did I talk to Laura? I'm sorry, Terry in Anchorage, Alaska. Terry?
Yes, how are you, Stan?
Okay, Terry.
Want to pass on our condolences from Alaska up here to you folks down there in Florida, understanding it's a serious, serious situation. These people that call up and make a big joke out of it, got no use for them.
Yeah.
Not at all. When we
Well-
had the big quake up here, the big disaster in '64, it was bad. And the looting that's going on down there is there's no sense in that. And it
Well-
could be stopped.
Well, it has been stopped for the most part. It's simply exaggerated by the media. The thing that has not been exaggerated is the
Water, the
helpless.
ice, and
That's it, you know?
the water. You know, I don't understand what's the matter with some of these big airlines like Federal Express or some of them, why they can't throw a plane in and ship this stuff in there that needs to be shipped in, the baby food, the diapers, the ice, the water. I agree with you. It's ridiculous. And there was no reason why. You know, Stan, really, there should be set up when a major disaster hits of this magnitude. Why do our governors and our legislatures have to ask for help? Why in the Sam Hill isn't it automatic from the federal government? These kitchens, field kitchens. I used to be with U.S. Forest Service, and we had field kitchens. And a major disaster, that's one of the first things that's set up. And it irks me to see this going on day after day, and these people are crying for water and food for their babies and things, and our federal government's sitting on their duff when they've got soup kitchens. And I agree with the woman that called in earlier that our National Guard has soup kitchens. They have the kitchens or field kitchens and things that they can set up automatically when they go on bivouacs. Why can't they do it when there's a major emergency of this nature automatically without having to have...
Okay, now, Terry, your blood pressure is really getting up there. I want you to calm down. I want you to get it under control, okay? Because I'm cynical. I'm ticked off about what's going on. And I'm sitting a lot closer to it than you are, but my blood pressure is not going up, okay?
Yep.
All right? So just stay calm, all right?
To us, Stan. Now, people of this country ask for help. When there's a major catastrophe in Honduras
Yeah.
or El Salvador or wherever around the world, this stuff is automatically flowing in. And here we sit day after day. I don't care if it's up here, California, Louisiana, especially Florida now that this major disaster has really struck. Why do we have to sit and wait and wait and wait?
All right, listen, Terry, you're getting kind of repetitious. I appreciate your call very much. Let me take a quick break here because I think we're going to have somebody on from Miami in just a moment. In these troubled decades... Well, guess who's with us? Where have you been?
Hi.
Where have you been? Did you run off with Andrew?
No.
Well, he's kind of lonely since Fergie left him.
Well, I'm just happy, Stan, for you and your family and for my family, of course. But I wanted to say hooray for the hurricane heroes, the truckers and the other people who are helping, because if not for them, what would the people who were devastated by this do? I heard on a newscast just a few minutes ago that the relief effort is underway not by a presidential decree, but by the heart of the American people. And people from New York are sending thousands of gallons of water, and people from Union City, New Jersey are sending food. And according to Gypsy, the people there in Alaska are helping. And I just am so happy to know that we can count on the American people.
Well, we just got word from WIOD in Miami. Troy talked to somebody there that they're going to be calling us during the next hour, and we'll try and get some more specific information on just exactly what people can do. I mean, normally in a situation like this, you'd say, yeah, the American Red Cross, the Salvation Army, ta-da-ta-da. I don't want to do that anymore.
Well, I don't either, because, the top people take so much of that money.
I want to know what Elizabeth Dole is making.
Well, a lot. But the Red Cross, it was said on the same newscast that the Red Cross was taking money from the Bruce Willis concert, trying to raise money that way. But I don't see the point. I would just, like you, I would rather just give whatever I have to give directly to the people. And I'm sitting here wondering, what can I do? I mean, I can't
send money. I could send clothes and shoes, and I'm sure some of the people could use that.
Well, I know that every cash and carry, every Burger King in the Tampa Bay area is supposed to be collecting.
Oh, well, that's good. I
Okay.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's good to know, Stan. Well, you're doing a great job, Stan.
Well, Jade, where have you been?
I've been here. I had to get away from politics. You know, I can't take it. I can't.
Did you know Rolling Stone has given its seal of approval to Billy Bob?
Well, Rolling Stone, I told you, is liberal.
Mm-hmm.
I had a dream about Billy Bob,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, Bill, what? Just tell me. We were alone, right?
Yeah, sure you were.
I said, what about next year? What about the economy? I said, you can tell me. And he couldn't even look me in the eye. He really, he was at a loss for words. You know?
He probably wouldn't be looking you in the eye.
Stan. Oh, guess who called me one more thing?
Yes.
Not only my family, but guess who else called me to find out how I was because of the hurricane? Although it didn't hit here, thank goodness.
Hunter Thompson.
No, Alan.
Alan who?
Remember Alan?
Oh, the mysterious Alan from Oregon.
Right.
Very good.
Right, I thought that
He was
good.
looking for an excuse, right?
What? Well, that was...
How come he's got your phone number and I don't?
Well, remember, he proposed.
Well, yeah. Well, I'll proposition you.
Not good enough, Stan.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
We are going to hear from somebody in the news department at Cox Broadcasting's WIOD in Miami during the next hour. Those of you who can stay up with us and stay awake, hopefully we'll have some information for you. I'll try to get some more. If you don't need to, then you don't have to, okay? I will have the information again tomorrow night on the show, and you can pick up on it then, all right? Now, for the folks in Medford, Oregon, I talked to Alan Corbett, the general manager at KOPE, and he's made a commitment to continue on for the final hour of the show from 4 until 5 Eastern Time, which would be 1 to 2. Is that right? 1 to 2. 4, 3, 2, 12 to 1. No, 1 to 2. It's got to be 1 to 2 out there on the West Coast. So whatever hour it is coming up, you're going to be with us from now on, and we hope you will enjoy the additional hour, which you have not been getting up until this time on that great FM talk station in Medford, Oregon, KOPE. So stick around, my fellow Americans, for the Stan Major program.
Live throughout the night, America talks. Stan Major listens. Call Stan at 1-800-878-8255. That's 1-800-878-TALK. Now, across the nation, the man who has America talking, Stan Major.
Time for that final cup of coffee to get me through the final hour. As we continue at 1-800-878-8255, that is our toll-free number, or 1-800-878-TALK. All righty. And like to remind you that the program, of course, the Stan Major Show, is heard over many of these great radio stations from coast to coast over the weekend, the best of Stan Major. We will be featuring my Tuesday morning. Was it Tuesday morning program? No, it was Wednesday morning program when I returned from the adventure of the weekend. I am ready. All right. We'll be featuring that overnight on Saturday night. A great number of you have never been through a hurricane, and so we're going to rerun that program for you to see whether or not you would like to take a test later. And I'm stalling around here because we're trying to contact the folks down at WIOD in Miami, and that's why I'm stalling around. We're going to get them on the air for a couple of minutes and find out exactly where you can more directly help out.
We're sorry. All circuits are pretty much. Will you please try your call again later?
You're going to get the same. Are you trying to dial direct so you're going to get the same thing again? You see? Why did they want us to call them? May I ask? It's an 800 number. They have an 800 number? Well, anyway. All right, rack up a couple of calls. Let's stop worrying about that. I'll get the information during the day. All right? I'll call my buddy Neil and get all the information. We'll get the real poop. We'll know exactly where to send the checks, send the money, etc. I noticed that the telethon that was done over in West Palm Beach, which raised over $2 million, according to the people involved, which was put together by the television stations in West Palm Beach. The money there is going to the American Red Cross. So, what can I say? I don't want your money to go to the American Red Cross. Let's go to Fran in Naples. How you doing, Fran?
I'm exhausted on this phone. You've been so busy. I just wanted you to know that the West Coast, even though it got clobbered in some areas, is responding to the stuff you have over there in Kendall and Homestead.
Uh-huh.
This morning we had, and this is, I think, other communities could do it just as well as we do. We collected everything we could for clothing and things, and food, and water, and ice. And a convoy went over there this morning. They sent over, I think it was 2 or 3 fire trucks. They send over trucks with heavy equipment that could be used for once the equipment is unloaded, it could be used for disposing stuff. Mm-hmm. And I forget how many rider trucks went over, and they went as a convoy. Now, they're going to stay there 3 days because these people are donating their time to go over there and work and deliver this stuff. And we're making up another unit, and you had a fellow on the phone, I don't know, over an hour ago, about 2 hours ago, by the name of Bill, and he was wondering about how he could go about getting onto anything like this. If he wants to volunteer, if he would call 434-4701. That's the number in Naples. He will get all the information he wants between the JCs, all the other service clubs, and the City of Naples Volunteer Committee.
That's great.
They're all doing this. Now, we're getting up another convoy so that we can relieve the ones that are over there now, because what they're doing, they're taking their off time, their vacation days, and that's firemen and doctors and everything that you want.
That's fantastic.
So we're doing that in our small way.
That's, every little bit adds up, Fran.
Well,
okay.
That's true.
Okay.
Yes, and I hope this fellow Bill, because, every pair of hands is important.
There you go. Thank you, Fran.
All right.
Thank you very much. 1-800-878-8255. There were a great number of doctors who lost their offices, who lost their practices, basically, at least temporarily, and they were out there working today for nothing. Pretty incredible, huh? The Stan Major program is still live.
AM 760 WEND, Brandon, Tampa Bay. We talk Tampa Bay.
All righty, Jesse's in Newcastle, Oklahoma. Hi, Jess.
Yeah, I'm here.
How you doing?
I just, I'm doing pretty good, I guess. We haven't got any high winds up here anyway.
Well, and the ramification of Andrew hit Alabama, Tennessee, and didn't hit Oklahoma?
I believe it's going to go on east of us this time.
Well, you don't need any more rain, do you?
No, not today. I just wonder if we can look forward to our friends helping us out on that deal down there. Those people like Taiwan, Korea, Japan, Poland, Israel, Turkey, Germany, Great Britain, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait.
Hold your breath, Jesse. Hold your breath.
I wish as a public service some talk show outfit would, make a list of that and give them their credits over the air when you get the list all built up.
Well, I'll call Pat Buchanan's office. I can get the list from him.
Well, that's what I have to think about on something like this. You know what I mean?
You mean the $20 billion that we sent out of the country during the second year of a recession? Yeah, we could afford that $20 billion, couldn't we?
If something reciprocates, it goes round and round, doesn't it?
Well, all that, you know what that is? That props up all those Caribbean banks and the Swiss bank accounts of all those friendly governments.
Yeah, well, I might get that, BCCI bank to help a little. According to the paper today, maybe Citicorp and I guess was that Bank of California? They was into a few crooked deals.
Uh-huh.
There's money floating around. I'm about ready for them to change this money and get rid of those greenbacks and change them over to the Reds and make them throw those greenbacks away.
Okay, Jesse, good to hear from you up in Oklahoma. 17 minutes after the hour, let's go to WIOD in Miami. Who's this?
This is Henry Barrow.
Henry, how are you?
I'm fine, Stan. How are you?
Henry, you're on from coast to coast. I have to say that in case you're not wide awake and don't realize it.
We're about past the point of knowing whether we're awake or asleep.
I know. I'm just absolutely amazed at the job that all the media are doing down there. The folks over at 4 and 10 and then even at 7, my goodness, are doing a great job, and you folks at IOD are doing a great job. Listen, the problem has arisen because of the criticism of those national organizations, including the American Red Cross, in the past 24 hours or so, Henry. I have a lot of people in places like Alabama, Georgia. They're up in Washington State and Seattle, even all the way up to Anchorage, Alaska, over in Dallas, Fort Worth, Oklahoma City. All these people in Kansas City, St. Louis, where they're listening to the show right now, would like to help out, but they are a little cynical about the efforts of the Red Cross so far to help people down in Dade County, and also the efforts of the federal government.
Dan, let me say something. Yesterday was a day of frustration, and I think a lot of the stuff that was said yesterday was said in absolute utter frustration of what's happening to the people in South Dade.
Mm-hmm.
As we speak, C-130 cargo planes are bringing Army mobile field kitchens to Homestead Air Force Base. Will immediately deploy from the Air Force Base into the areas hardest hit and start serving hot food. Most of the churches, the church organizations, are taking over, setting up relief supply distribution centers. So anybody that wants to donate can call their local church, and they will know the diocese or the presbytery or whatever in the South Florida area that's handling that. Everything's under control and is being distributed, and today we'll see a new day because it's time to let the frustration go and get to work. President Bush is sending 5,000 Army troops in with earth-moving equipment and bulldozers and such. We're going to see a lot of cargo planes coming in on the main runway at Homestead Air Force Base, which was about the only thing that was not damaged by the storm.
Yeah, we were wondering whether they had to come into Opelika or someplace.
No, they've got the main runway cleared at Homestead, and it was not damaged. It's structurally sound, so those big planes will be coming in.
That's great. Just one short question for you, Henry. What are the figures that you have? Well, there seems to be some confusion. For instance, how many people are actually homeless without a roof over their head at this time?
250,000.
250,000, and that's not an exaggeration, right?
No, it's not.
I think some confusion. Somebody down there keeps putting out the number of families, okay? And there seems to be some confusion when you're talking about families versus the number of people.
The families obviously is a lower number.
Yeah.
You count the number of people in the family, it reaches 250,000. We have two of our employees here. One of our news reporters and the woman who heads our traffic department are homeless.
My goodness.
Their homes are non-existent.
Henry, I appreciate you taking time out very first thing in the morning, and tell Ranieri I said hello and everybody else.
I'll do it, Stanley T. It's good
Thank you.
to you.
Thank you, Henry.
Bye-bye.
Henry Barrow does the morning news at WIOD in Miami, and as you can tell by that, he's very reassuring, and that's good. That's good. I will find out from Neil Rogers later today about direct check contributions, okay? I don't want to deal with Henry on that. I don't want to take any more of his time because he's obviously got a lot of work to do down there, and I will deal with Neil with regard to that, and we'll try to find out exactly what you can do, because I'm sure that out of the kindness of your heart, there are a great number of people listening to this show who would like to contribute something, but you want to be assured of it, and I want to be absolutely assured that it's going to get to the right place and not pay big salaries. Okay? Okay, we can use the hotline again now. That number, if you'd like to pay the freight, we'll put you up front, is 813-572-7043. Okay? All righty. 22 minutes after the hour, the major program is still live from coast to coast.
You're listening to AM 760 WEND, Brandon, Tampa Bay.
By the way, you folks up in Detroit might want to call in and talk to me about your ex-police chief who got sentenced to jail there today. We are at 1-800-878-8255. If you have not called the program this week, give us a call. If you have, wait till next week. How's that? Let's go to Phil in Hope, Arkansas. Phil, how you doing?
Good morning, Stan. Hey, I don't think it's news that they found a crooked police chief or sheriff anywhere. That's old hat, But if somebody wants to comment about it, I think it's great.
Well,
hey,
the only difference is there's a bunch of money missing.
Well, that's nothing new either. Overheard in Hot Springs.
Oh boy, here we go.
Overheard.
Yeah.
Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Slick Willie's mama.
Mm-hmm.
Told this lady that he can't do anything by himself. He's got to have Hillary to tell him what to do. Hey, and I think the most disrespectful thing you can do to a person is deliberately mispronounce their name. And when Hillary gave that award to Anita Hill, another lying lawyer, I think that said a great deal, didn't it? Hey,
Phil, the phrase lying lawyer is redundant.
Amen. Hey, sorry about your tragedy down there, but I think a lesson that's learned in all of this is that the best, most immediate, most thoughtful help comes from your neighbors and your friends and not from the government.
You're right. You're absolutely right, but with a disaster the scope of this, it's very difficult not to try to get some outside help.
Oh yeah, but that's secondary to the understanding and everything you can get from your neighbors. It's another tragedy that there are looters and people that are taking advantage of it by gouging, but that's something we have to overcome. I'm satisfied that people down there and the people down in Louisiana will come out okay.
Well, we'll be much better if Clinton gets his self down there and checks it out.
Well, there's some of them people might not have a place to vote, so he's not going down there. That's what he's interested in.
You're horrible, Phil.
I know I can't help myself. Hey, have a good day.
Thank you. Phil is obviously the biggest Bill Clinton fan in Hope, Arkansas. 1-800-878-8255. Good time for you to get in if you're listening to us in places like Decatur, Illinois, Gastonia, North Carolina, Mobile, Alabama, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, which, by the way, very soon will be carrying 4 hours of our program instead of 1 hour on the great KTOK. And let's see, where else? Medford, Oregon. If you're listening in Medford during this hour, great to have you with us. Give us a call at 1-800-878-8255. On the hotline is Brian from someplace in Idaho. How you doing, Brian? Hey, Brian. Brian.
Yeah, I'm here.
Where are you?
I'm calling from Rexburg, Idaho.
Where's Rexburg?
It's southeastern part.
Mm-hmm. How you doing?
Oh, not too bad. How about yourself?
Okay.
I just wanted to call and talk about what the possible future might look like with these different candidates who are running for presidential office.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at President Bush here. He says he's going to lower the taxes, and he's for this New World Order thing. And Clinton says he wants to raise the taxes, and he wants socialized medicine. I'm not sure that's the best thing to do either. That's I don't know, it's moving the country further away from the free market economy that we've had for such a long time. I know the Constitution doesn't specify anything about what kind of market system we should have, but it just kind of naturally follows that if we're going to have the right to own property, that should be the most logical thing to have.
Well, then you have to vote for Ross Perot.
I'm not
because
really
he believes in owning property.
I'm not really sure too much of what Ross Perot was for. Maybe you could fill me in on that.
Ross? I don't know either. He never let us know. It's like a big secret. I do know he wanted to raise the tax on a gallon of gasoline 50 cents to help pay off the federal budget deficit, which I think is probably a pretty good idea.
Mm-hmm.
But he also ought to double the tax then on liquor and cigarettes, because neither of those things really help anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And help pay off the federal deficit.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, well, listen, it's good to hear from you, Brian, up there in Rexburg, Idaho. That frees up the hotline if you'd like to take advantage of it. And we are still live from coast to coast on about 70 fine radio stations every place. And it's 1:30 on the major program.
AM 760 WEND, Brandon, Tampa Bay. We talk Tampa Bay.
Well, an interesting development in the in the Dominican Republic about this young lady who removed her top in the middle of the contest for Miss Dominican Republic. Julie Ramirez is a great national hero. She will become a folk hero in Santo Domingo, friends. I've kind of often thought that somebody in a beauty pageant in this country would eventually pull a stunt like this. I figured it would be in the Miss World contest or something like that. You know, drop your top live. The thing about it, though, I guess the Miss America contest is live, right? But they don't let them in bikinis. They put them in those stupid one-piecers, right? And this is preliminary to the Miss World and Miss Universe pageant. So it could be that if she wins... By the way, she dropped her top because she said she felt worthless and terribly bad. And she sensed the need to take off her clothes. Okay? That's all right. I felt like that from time to time. They tossed her out of the contest, and then the newspapers in Santo Domingo and the other members of the press screamed so much, because I guess they loved the view, that they put her back in the contest. And one newspaper is quoted as saying that Julie's breasts now belong to the nation's cultural patrimony. All right? Whatever that means. I can't wait to see that picture on the front page of the Tampa Tribune tomorrow. Which you know it won't be. Right? Now, that would be an interesting thing in this country, right? No, I'm not kidding you. Wouldn't that be breaking new ground for a newspaper to publish that picture on the front page? And let's see what happens. You think the cops will go around busting the machines or something? The newspaper machines? It's interesting to theorize what would happen if somebody... how about our seven sisters in the media? Let's really shake up the country. Let's put it on the front page of the Washington Post. Sure. Let's see. What newspaper would be likely to print that picture? How about our friends at the New York Post? You know, the ones who put out the front page story about Bush's girlfriend? Yeah, I think they probably do it. And, of course, the cops in New York could care less. They wouldn't go around busting the newspaper vendors. All right, enough of this falderall. Let's go to Steve in Dallas and talk about something important. Right, Steve?
How you doing, Stan?
How are you?
Doing fine. I was thinking of the some of those similar disasters happened in Dallas over the past 4 years and what could possibly happen again in Florida. You know, God forbid. It doesn't normally flood in Dallas. However, for some reason, the last 3 years, we've had a lot of floods. And one area in particular would rebuild every year and spend thousands and thousands. And in Florida's case, it would be millions. Is there any kind of like planning as far as rebuilding now? Because that would just be terrible for homes to be rebuilt in wood frame or something and just have them be blown away again. You know, that's...
Well, that's the way they build them in Florida these days, Steve.
I mean, like an adobe or I don't know something.
Oh, I've got to dig out a story which I read and darn it, I didn't keep it. This is probably the most significant misleading story that's come out of Hurricane Andrew over here. This is a story which was on one of the wire services very quickly. And in fact, the night I came back, Tuesday night and early Wednesday morning, it was already out. Quoting a university professor from one of our fine colleges over here, as saying that the most of the damage was caused to the houses that were older than 7 years old. Okay. Actually, this professor is probably on the probably doing quite well with the recent developers and builders, and he's probably into them for a lot of money because he's got it absolutely wrong. The newer constructed houses are the ones that were wiped off the face of the map. The older constructed houses under stricter building codes are the ones that just lost maybe part of their roof or something. So here you got a university professor who, boom, is already on the, he's got a press release out, man, saying that that an absolute falsity, in my opinion. So how do you like that?
Well, it shows that from what's been happening there, too, with the $10 bags of ice, that and what the report on the news was $800 an hour to repair someone's roof or get their house back in shape.
Now, hold on, Steve. Let's hold Steve over, okay? I want him to wrap things up. We'll be back.